talk to our people, because both of these parties have let you down.
Oh, Todd Muller.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. A very wise political leader said once that a house divided against itself will not stand. And what we see when we look across to the Labour opposition is confirmation of a modern truism, in my view, which is a party that is divided against itself will never lead. And I repeat that for all of you who are wanting to hear it: a party divided against itself will never lead. And when I look across the Labour Party and assess them over the last 2 or 3 weeks with their list debacle, both in terms of trying to get somebody with slightly independent thought into their list and then to demote him against his expectations, and the management of that within your party, the charter schools performance in the last 24 hours, where you have 2 or 3 people in your party who hold the view that actually, it's quite right to have at the centre of your thinking children and parents. But no, the captain's call's come over the top and said, no, we're going to back the teacher unions and the unions over the parents and the students. And of course, we've heard the suggestion of Māori prisons. Again, that's been kiboshed from the top. And I'm sorry, you can put on a forced smile when you come here, when the Labour Party speak here for every hour at question time. You can feign energy to the extent that as a caucus you might have it. But at the core is the fundamental truth that you are divided within yourselves. You don't have leadership, you don't have a united vision, and the rest of the country can see it. And this party, Mr Speaker, over the last 8.5 years can be defined by competence and professionalism. And to the New Zealanders who may be watching this today, I accept that not everything we will have done over the last 8.5 years will have got your support. But I bet in your heart of hearts you know that when you apply the challenge and criteria of competence and professionalism and the ability to navigate the country through difficult times and deliver for the majority of New Zealanders, there is only one party that can deliver and has delivered over the 8.5 years. And in your heart of hearts, those who are watching, you know that the Labour Party simply doesn't have the inherent coherence and collective view to be able to mount an effective campaign, Mr Speaker. I am very, very proud of the record that this government takes to the election, and in particular is going to be enforced by what we hear over the next 2 weeks when the budget comes out. The fact that we can sit here after what the world has gone through and a number of economies are still going through and talk to the 2nd or 3rd year of surplus and a number of surpluses going in front of us, and to be able to spend an extra $11 billion on infrastructure, which will mean $23 billion of infrastructural spending over the next 3 years on roads, on hospitals, on schools, when we have 252,000 New Zealanders involved in the construction industry, when you've got 45,000 New Zealanders involved in apprenticeships, and an economy that is performing in the top 2 or 3 in the world, that gives us choices. And the fact that this government and the national government can apply those choices to the benefit of all New Zealanders, that we can look to retire debt, that we can look to invest in the social needs of this country, not underpinned by an old debate on the winner on the social stage as those who spend the most, but a party that can apply a logic around how to invest from a government agency perspective in partnership with NGOs to actually deliver a real outcome, and are prepared to be able to put their money where their mouth is in that respect, and to be able to do it in a considered way that delivers real outcomes. And when you overlay that, the level of competence and professionalism that we have seen as we've run through into this, at the start of this year, I think, Mr Speaker, the contrast is extraordinary. And when you pivot to the city that I, along with Simon Bridges, have the privilege of representing, of Tauranga and the wider Western Bay of Plenty, it is an extraordinary the sense of momentum and optimism and ambition that city is experiencing at the moment. High levels of migration, high levels of employment, high levels of participation, labour participation. Some of the lowest times of applicants for jobs that we have ever seen, and it is an extraordinary time to be part of a community that is so upbeat, so confident about their future, and I am very sure, very supportive of another 3 years of a National-led government. Thank you.
Jan Logie.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.